The coronavirus. Sadly, we had our first death in Australia over the last 24 hours from the coronavirus. The question that I often get asked, though, is why is it, if there's more people dying of the regular flu every day around the world, why are the financial markets suffering so much from the coronavirus? We've already seen share markets fall by 10% in 1 week, and that's wiped $200 billion off the value of the Australian share market. Well, there's a few reasons for this. Let's look at the first reason, which is China as a consumer. Chinese people are no longer buying our products. They're not buying iron ore from Australia. They're not buying coal. They're not coming to study in our universities. And they're not visiting our hotels and as tourists consuming other products when they get here. So that's the first impact on the Australian economy. The second impact is China as a supplier into the global supply chain. So imagine that you are constructing a building and it's time to install the elevators, the lifts. There's a particular part that you require, and that part comes from China. And because the Chinese factories have closed down, you can't get your hands on that part. So you can't put in the lifts, and therefore you can't continue with the construction of the building. So you're going to need to lay off some of the contractors, at least temporarily, and those people don't have jobs for a while, so they can't go and spend money within the Australian economy as well. We're saying the same thing in car manufacturing, which relies on Chinese parts, and lots of other industries as well. The third thing we have is people living in Australia who make decisions not to live their lives the way they would have. So they might decide not to travel. So once again, that has an impact on the tourist sector. And then finally, in the wake of all of this, businesses get nervous and they decide to stop spending money on investment and to stop hiring people. And that has another flow-on effect onto the Australian economy as well. So when you put all of those different things together, we can see that the coronavirus is starting to have a real impact on the economy and on financial markets. Let's hope it doesn't continue for too much longer. Now, the question for me then is, what does all of this mean for pricing? Well, you could be in a fortunate position where your product suddenly has less competition because you normally compete with products that are being imported, and those competition products aren't coming into the market, and that's great. That gives you more pricing power. You may even be in a position to put your prices up slightly, although be careful not to gouge your customers because that could harm your reputation if you're taking advantage of what is a sad situation. Alternatively, if you're in the tourism sector, then you might find that you need to reduce your prices in order to stimulate demand for your product and service. In our next video, I'm going to go into more detail about some of this and do a deep dive into the tourism sector and see what's actually been happening to prices in hotels. But in the meantime, make sure you wash your hands, stay safe, and wear a mask.
We're off to see the wizard.